So people started asking me to come and speak at local chambers of commerce in Cleveland and, different things. Yeah. And the only reason why I did it was I just thought it'd be good marketing.
Sure.
Right? You'd be there, never heard of John Roberts Spa, say, I'm going to buy my wife or myself a gift card and go in there. And that's 100% why I did it. Never think it was going to lead to anything else. Well, every time I spoke, a couple business people would come up and say, how much would it cost us to bring you in to speak to our staff? I had no idea what they were talking about. I'm like, well, I don't like to say it here in person. Let's have a phone call. And I was really stalling because I didn't know, what to say. How much does it cost?
I didn't know what to charge them.
Right. So I start speaking a little bit, mostly in Cleveland, and then more on a national level in the beauty industry, right? Right. That's where my credibility started off. So I'm speaking, and then I'm at these big events, maybe in Vegas or Orlando, and I'm a breakout speaker where you need to, a flashlight and a map to find me, which I deserve to be. But on main stage were these big rock stars. Tom Peters, if you remember, Michael Gerber, Jim Gilmore, just huge names, back in the 90s. So I'd wait in line with them, with all the audience after, I'd get up there and say, "Hi, I'm John. I'm a speaker too." And they couldn't have been nicer. And they're like, slow down. You have to be in a hurry. And I say, I'm a speaker too, and I think I'm pretty good at this. I just asked them advice, and they couldn't have been more generous. And they said, listen, you want to be, you want to do this more, or you want to do it for real, you got to write a book. Mm-hmm. And so, that's what I did. So up until 2003, I was a salon owner that spoke 6 to 10 times a year. Mostly in the beauty industry or locally in Northeast Ohio. And then Secret Service came out in 2003. And after that, I went from a salon owner that spoke to a speaker that owns salons. Yeah. And literally since 2003, that was the last time I was involved in the salons, day to day. And then, real companies started hiring me. Like you said, the Ritz Carlton, Starbucks, Chick-fil-A, Price Waterhouse. I was like, oh my God, I'm not in Kansas anymore. And, and then for the next 5-6 years, I learned more than I taught. You go in there and you're like, oh man, this is, incredible. And so then that just fed the next book, What's the Secret? And turned into a, customer service consulting company. And now I spend all my time in that with our team, the DeJulius Group.
Yeah, amazing. So what was it like working with those? I mean, obviously to go from the salon, that business, to working with these large organizations. What was that experience like for you?
It was intimidating at first. It still can be, but it was just fascinating. And I literally always learned more from them, right?
Do you have an example of that?
It's funny. What's that?
Do you have an example of that? When you say you learn more from them?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was trying to do what they were trying to do, and they were trying to do what I was doing. And here's how, at the time I had 1, 2, 3 salons. And, at first, so in the salon business, we were really good at customer service because 50% of our staff was me and my wife. Right. So there's only 4 of us. Yeah. So if you were one of the 4, you had to get customer service, even if you didn't want to, because you had to stand next to us all day. And, and our passion and our modeling the behavior would rub off on you, or you wouldn't have lasted. But then when we started having more success, growth, and we weren't next to everyone, we weren't at each location, we saw that our customer service started going backwards, right? Because we weren't everywhere. And there was what we call employee roulette. Mm-hmm. Level of experience was dependent on which employee. And so that frustrated me. And that's really why I started researching how do the Disneys of the world get 50,000 employees to execute this while I'm struggling with a team of 20 or 25.
Yeah.
And so that's what started happening. And that's what I started learning, what they were doing. And that's kind of what the red book, What's the Secret, came out. That is the 10 commandments of what world-class companies do. And those are the things I learned that every world-class company did in common. So the first commandment is it's been revised a little bit, but they all have a customer experience action statement, something that you have to do every time you interact with a customer, right? Intentionally. Right. They all have, one of them is Secret Service systems. It's the Ford. It's the white cape. It's how do we personalize your experience? They all have a signature experience. That signature experience, whether you go shop at Tesla or you shop at Nordstrom's, they have their own experience that you could see Dillard's or Macy's is trying to replicate, but where they're getting it from. So it was just this. And then the biggest thing was that I learned was, and the biggest aha that most CEOs, and I was one of them, get wrong is, CEOs think that customer service is innate and they think it's common sense. And it's a fallacy. It's neither. And so they don't put enough emphasis in training. What they do is, they get a young Mark Thomas just out of high school, just out of college, who's going to valet or, cashier, or whatever the entry level job is, answer the phones, and they train him or her on the technical side. Okay. Yeah. Here's how you book an appointment. Here's how the process is. Yeah. But they assume the soft skill is there. But the problem is that service aptitude comes from 3 primary places. Okay. Yours, mine, our newest employee, how service aptitude gets shaped. The first place is service aptitude comes from our previous life experiences. Okay. So I don't know about you, Mark, but I didn't grow up staying at 5-star resorts.
I did not.
Flying first class.
Did not.
I didn't drive a Mercedes-Benz when I turned 16.
Nope.
Right?
Volkswagen.
Right. A used, hand-me-down, whatever, jalopy, And so, however, the first 10, 15 jobs I got, I was expected to give that type of experience, first class, Mercedes-Benz, to those types of customers, guests, patients, tenants, wherever I was working. And I didn't know what that looked like. The golden rule is the worst compass for customer service, right? The golden rule is treat others the way you want to be treated. Well, listen, you wouldn't have wanted me to treat you, when I was 19 or 21, the way I wanted to be treated. My sons who are, at that age, if I said, hey, go work for Mark and treat his customers the way you want to be treated, that would be horrible. He'd be fist pumping your clients, right? I mean, but that's where he's coming from. That's where he's at. The kid that's parking valet at the Ritz Carlton has never stayed at a Ritz Carlton. So he doesn't know what it's like to, be at a Ritz Carlton. It's not their fault. The second place service aptitude gets dictated is previous work experience. And if you think about it, most people most companies don't hire from former Disney, Ritz Carlton, or Chick-fil-A employees, which means our employees, our future generation of employees, our existing generation of employees have worked somewhere else that wasn't world-class, and they probably were brainwashed to be paranoid and suspicious. Hey, don't trust them, right? If they don't ever receive, if it's not less than 30 days, if they don't have proof of purchase, if they don't, you don't let them. You don't let them use the bathroom unless they bought something here, right? All these crazy things. And those first 2 things, previous life experience or previous work experience, we can't control as entrepreneurs. The only thing we can control is the third thing, which is what do we do with our employees, new employees, once we hire them? And so I love asking people this. All right, if you were to hire my son, he's 21, for a customer facing role tomorrow, how much training would you give him? Okay, before you'd allow him to start interacting with your customer base. Some people say 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months. Okay, that's really not the number I'm interested in. Here's the number I'm interested in. Of the 40 hours, 400 hours, or 4,000 hours you're going to train him on, mm-hmm. Of that, what percentage is technical, operational processes, and what is soft skill, relationship building, collecting the Ford, using the Ford, the Secret Service, the white capes versus the black capes, the making the brilliant comeback when we drop the ball. And in most cases, it's 99.9% technical. Mm-hmm. And very little, if any. The soft skill training is, hey, see the sign in the back of our warehouse? It says, we are customer obsessed. Okay, go do that. And that's it.
Now,
and if you tell 100 people, if you tell 100 employees to be customer obsessed, you'll get 100 interpretations.
Sure.
So the best customer service companies remove personal interpretations. They teach them what customer, I'll give you one more example to this. Sure. So we tell our employees, let's say at our hair salons, but even the DeJulius Group, to deliver genuine hospitality. Okay. But that's a platitude, Mark. If I tell 100 people to deliver a genuine hospitality, you will get 100 personal interpretations. One person may think when you walk in, a head nod is genuine hospitality. Another person might think jumping in your arms and hugging you is genuine hospitality, right? So what do we mean by genuine hospitality? Well, here's what we mean. It's the 5 E's, okay? And the 5 E's take less than 5 seconds to deliver. And they're measurable, so I know if you're doing it, okay? The 5 E's is eye contact, enthusiastic greet, ear-to-ear smile. That's the first 3. Takes 1 second to do. Eye contact, enthusiastic greet, ear-to-ear smile. You walk in the door and someone says, Mark, how are you? That's the first 3 E's. Eye contact, enthusiastic greet, ear-to-ear smile. The fourth E is engage. Uh-huh. And engage means it's you, it's about you, it's not about me. Mark, how's your day? How's your job? How's your kids? Whatever we may know about you. And the 5th E is educate. Okay. Every time you talk to someone on my team, you should walk away saying, wow, there is no one smarter at their job than that person, whether it's over the phone, trying to book an appointment, whether just walking in, whoever you're dealing with. So the 5 E's is eye contact, enthusiastic greet, ear-to-ear smile, engage, educate. It takes less than 5 seconds, but now that's what genuine hospitality is. I'm not leaving it to what Mark thinks genuine hospitality is versus what Sally thinks. And so all these things I learned from these great companies is, they had these things. So there's other things, being a zero risk company. Zero risk means, it doesn't mean that they'll never drop the ball. Everyone drops it. Amazon drops the ball. American Express drops the ball. Nordstrom's drops the ball. What zero risk means is 2 things. One, they drop the ball less than their competitors. But more importantly, when they drop the ball, they pick it up and make it right. Right? And then you're sometimes more loyal to them than had they not dropped the ball because you can't believe how well they handled it.
Yeah. No.
So there's so many things I've learned from them that I felt guilty getting paid by them. And that's what all my books were from then on, is just I codified what these world-class customer and employee experience companies had in common.
Phenomenal. Now you mentioned your sons. You said you three sons, correct?
Yeah.
And so you mentioned late teens, early 20s?
Actually, 31, 26, and 21.
Okay. So and I guess we all know that raising children can be a challenge in itself, right? But as far as embedding that customer experience knowledge in them, is that something of just being around that they picked up on, or, and in second part, are they following through dad's footsteps and doing the same type of thing you're doing, or they're off doing their own thing? They're
off doing their own thing, but yeah, they are very personable. And they're high tuned to kind of what I teach. They've all helped me in different aspects. But I'll tell you what, we play this game. Just an example. We play. So here, two things. One, if you were at an event and one of my boys was there, and I see you talking to them, they know, they 100% without a doubt know that as soon as your conversation's over, I'm going to go over and I'm going to ask your Ford. Right. So they know they better be learning your Ford because they're going to get tested on it. And they're masters at Ford. Right. But the other thing is that, like, I have one of our non-negotiables in the organization is beat the greet. OK, beat the greet is no one says hi to, you first. Like if I walk into if you walk into my business, it's like, good morning. Right. Every employee has to beat the greet, right? That's just a great a customer service, and it beat the greet, and then in parentheses is 15/5. Okay, 15 means if I come within 50, if an employee comes within 15 feet of anyone, it could be the UPS driver, right? They have to smile and nod. 5 feet, they come within 5 feet, they have to say something to you. Okay, good morning. Welcome back. Great to see you. Even if they're not dealing with you, even if they're walking by you to get to the person behind you, they have to say something. So to show you how crazy I am, since they were little boys, we play this game, beat the greet, when we travel and go on vacation and stuff. And it's the only time they were allowed to talk to strangers, but Dad had to be there. Okay. So picture this. We get to a resort, and me and all three of my boys, or me and one of them, are walking out of a hotel room, and maybe we're going down to the pool. And if we see a stranger coming by us, I would say, good morning. And that I beat the greet. So we keep score. So anyone I beat the greet, I get a point. Okay. Now, on top of that, if let's say my youngest son, Bo, is with me and we're walking, and my boys love this game. Okay. We just went to Sweden last year. They're all adults. We still played it. Okay. Oh, it's a really fun game. All right. So now picture this. We're walking to the pool. I see you, a stranger, walking me. I say, good morning. And so I get a point. I said, hello to you. Now, Bo cannot get a point for saying hello to you because I technically own you because I said hello to you first. Okay. So I'll see someone like 100 yards away. I'll say, hey, guy in the yellow shirt. Hello. He's mine too. But here's the hard part. Even though Bo can't get a point for saying hello to you first, he still has to say hello to you first, because if anyone says hi to us first, we lose 20.
Oh my goodness.
So this has happened. I've stepped off an elevator. I've turned around a corner and someone will say good morning. And I'll be like, oh shit. And I just lost 20 points. Ruined my vacation. That guy has no idea why I'm mad at him, right?
How could you?
Right. And, and even like my kids are funny. Like, they hear me speak all the time, and you're not allowed to say no problem. Right. You got to say my pleasure, or certainly, or yes, I'd be happy to, or you're welcome. No problem's a big problem. Yes. And so if when my kids were young and they'd ask for more ketchup and the person would say no problem, they'd say, well, why was it a problem? They're twisted when it comes to this stuff.
No. And I just, you just brought that up and it just triggered me. I'm like going, it's because of you that my pleasure is a response of mine. Because I'm sure it was embedded no problem previously.
Yes.
Right? But I think you gave that example some 15 years ago, and that stuck with me.
Yeah.
It's interesting little bits. I'm like, oh my goodness. I just had a realization where that came from, right? Like going all the time, like, my pleasure. Yeah. And so like, wow. No, very cool. So yeah, that's too funny. The games you play, and they get into that. And that's, really, it's a life skill you've given them. Right? For relationships. I did a TED talk and that's what it was on. And it's called Meet As Strangers, Leave As Friends. It's 9 minutes and 31 seconds. If any of your listeners, just, YouTube it. Yeah. Meet As Strangers, Leave As Friends. But, I always say, show it to your employees, but watch it yourself.
and if you have kids 8 or older, have them watch it. And it's exactly what you're talking about. It's there's nothing more important that we could work on in our daily lives that'll have a bigger impact in our personal and professional careers than having the strong ability to build a strong rapport with someone else. And someone else is a total stranger, an acquaintance, someone we haven't seen in a while, a friend, neighbor, client. But that's a lost art, in the digital age.
Sure,
our people skills have declined.
Definitely, I would 100% agree with that. So I know I'm going to touch it a little bit. I know because we even got to the new one yet. Because I'm going to talk about employees, right?
Okay.
But I'm also interested in a little bit about you in regards to like some of the things like in the hair salon and then the DeJulius Group. What's some of the biggest moments and I guess setbacks you've had to overcome in your journey as an entrepreneur?
I don't know how much time we got. There's a lot.
As much time as you'd like to take. I'm dead serious. I mean, we're on your timeline, so.
Yeah. So as an entrepreneur, and I now I expect it. If you're going to be a successful entrepreneur, and successful means you're going to be around long enough. These things are bound to happen, and they almost have to happen to try to help you reduce them from happening in the future. But we've had early on we've had staff walkouts where I thought we were going to go out of business. Where eight hairdressers left in one day and all went and opened their own salon, and I thought, oh my God, we're going to be out of business. So those setbacks are, we were compromising what our mission and core values by keeping bad attitudes, but we wanted growth, and so we were growing, and we needed to hire, let's say, 5 other employees.
Okay.
Now we had these 8 that were bad attitudes, constantly complaining, weren't aligned with what we wanted. And we made excuses to why we would keep them. And so because we needed 5 more, we didn't want to need 13 more, right?
Right.
And anytime I have found that you compromise culture for sales, you end up losing sales in the long run. Because what was happening is our turnover was higher back then because people couldn't stand working with those 8. So we were losing good people.
Due to a toxic environment because of those people.
To a toxic environment. So those 8 people quit, which was like $1 million in sales. And I'm like, oh my God, we're going to go out of business. And, the opposite happened. Everyone was so happy. Everyone rallied around. We stopped losing people, and we ended up, making up the $1 million. We didn't lose $1 million. We back then we might have been doing $3 or $4 million.
Okay.
Like this is in the early 2000s. And, so if we did, let's say, 3 million that year. So when we lost them, we thought we were only going to do 2 million. But we did 3 million again, which was huge because $1 million supposedly walked out the door, but a lot of their clients stayed and whatever. But it was a painful lesson, but it was a necessary lesson that anytime you compromise, culture for sales, you lose the sale. And listen, we were losing the reputation because let's say that you heard that this salon was great. Great reputation, great customer service. So you or your wife come in expecting, this Ritz Carlton experience, and you get one of them, and they're not bought, and they're taking shortcuts. They're not they're not saying my pleasure. They're not, beating the greet. They're not doing the 5 E's. Yeah. And you're like, what a crack of shit. The price is way too expensive. Blah, 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 blah. So, the hardest thing, the easiest thing to say, hardest thing, and to this day, is it's better to lose the sale than the reputation, right? And that's hard. It's hard. Even in the DeJulius Group, let's say, we sign, Starbucks and Price Waterhouse and Key Bank. And, if we had one more consultant, we could sign, 5 more consulting clients. So let's just get this person and we'll teach them. And even though they're not ready, we'll help them. Mm-hmm. And now we sign another type of Key Bank and we give it to this consultant who's not ready, who's not trained. And all of a sudden, well, we got the sale, we got the $100,000 contract, but they're not going to re-sign, and the brand terrorism they're going to do about us, will never recover from their reputation. Versus saying, "I'm sorry, Mr. Law firm, Mr. Bank, whoever they are, but we're currently at capacity. We should have an opening to be able to take you maybe in the fall and make them wait." Or they say no and they move on, right? But either option is better than, "Oh, we can take you now. Mm-hmm. We're going to give you Green Josh, who doesn't, do it like we do it, but we're going to help him get there," right? So that's so hard to turn down the sale.
Sure.
But the reputation that you're going to, lose will do more damage, because who knows, a big bank or a law firm, that $100,000 contract you get with them could turn into $500,000 because of the other departments you can get in with. So it's no different than, the salon where you or your wife come in and have a horrible experience. Man, we could have gotten your family, we could have gotten your kids, you would have referred us your neighbors if we would have done a good experience. So that was one of them. That's just one of them. But as an entrepreneur, anytime I've compromised the culture for the sale, we always lose the sales in the long run. And we lose employees because they don't like working with those types of people. Obviously the tough times is, you go through, the third party conditions that you can't control, from 9/11 to the Great Recession to the pandemic. I mean, those are going to come, and those are cyclical in a way of thing, but you got to be prepared during good times. You can't, you got to be prepared that your organization could get through the tough times.
So what type of preparation have you made in prior to those type of times as you've experienced all those?
Yeah, just making sure that, unfortunately, we get fat in good times.
Sure.
And you take your eye off the ball because I say the busy bus is out front. When the busy bus is here, right? In the salons, the holidays, like any retail, is crazy busy, right? And you almost don't have to be great at customer service because you're going to be booked solid. But then what happens comes January, and it's a ghost town. And I always say, and this goes for any business, this goes for consulting, speaking, how busy you are today is not a function of how good you are today. It's a function of how good you were 3 months ago. And so when the busy bus came in November and December, Thanksgiving and Christmas and the holidays, if we would have taken really good care of your wife and her sister and all them and blown them away and said, "Hey, we need to, book your next appointment for January 5th, she would have. But because we were so busy and we were slammed and we had 15 appointments a day and I just needed to get her out of the chair because I had her the 4 o'clock waiting. Yeah. She ain't coming back in January. It's the same thing in speaking. How good I speak, how good I consult in, the fall is going to determine how many people rehire me for the next quarter.
Hi, I'm Mark Thomas, founder and CEO of Current Tech Solutions and Cyber Guardians. If you or someone you know could benefit from our cutting-edge IT and cybersecurity services, we'd love to help. Our expertise in securing your business with AI precision ensures that you're protected and empowered to thrive. Reach out to us today to learn how we can secure and elevate your business.